Hey, let's do another little budget ratchet set review and teardown. This is of the Brilliant brand of ratchets. Brilliant is from what I know, is kind of like a budget or entry level brand of KS tools in Germany. These obviously are not made in Germany, but this brand is sold in Germany as a budget brand, entry level brand. These ratchets were all made in China. They have these hangers that come with them here. I bought all of these individually on Amazon so they wouldn't get banged up getting shipped here together. They were really inexpensive. Every ratchet was under $10 shipped. The 3/8 was $7 shipped, or I'm sorry, the 1/4 inch was $7 shipped. The 3/8 was $8.90, and the 1/2 inch was $9.90. Obviously, taxes and whatever. But the hanging card is all in German. It doesn't say where they're made, but they all had sealed plastic packages. I thought I had one of them down here, but I don't. But they had a made in China sticker on them. This is a 90 tooth set of ratchets. This is a single floating pawl style design. And I'll tell you right off the bat, I've already used the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 out of this set. The 1/4 inch, I did some dash work on that orange CJ7 or CJ6 that I have in my videos, and the I put some new valve cover screws in with this guy the other day, so some like light work, but I did use this for about 2 days. And then my wife and I we drove to Chicago to see Rush, and she had ended up staying up there for a conference, and I drove her car back. And whenever I got back, I had nothing to do, so I did a bunch of maintenance on the car, and I used this guy for like oil change, and I checked the rear differential and whatnot in it. So these two have been used. I have not used the 1/2 inch set yet. And I think if everybody knows my videos, I collect ratchets, but I do use what I have in my collection if I keep them. So I wanted to kind of just use these because they had been sitting on the porch for about 3 days before I got back. But we'll take open this 3/8 ratchet here. These all did come with oil in them, and it's a well, we'll take apart the 1/2 inch one since I haven't used that one yet. But they all had this kind of a brownish, kind of a, it's almost like used motor oil. It kind of smelled like what was in there. I mean, I highly doubt that's what was in it, but we'll bring these guys up and let you guys take a look at them. These are obviously a comfort grip set of ratchets. The black is the soft overmold, and they do feel very nice in hand. Out there in the 100-degree heat, sweating, it was pretty nice to have this when I was working on the Jeep and the Mazda for sure. They look pretty good, definitely budget oriented. So these are like a straight profile, and they're a little bit of a longer length too as well. We'll measure them real quick. They all have their individual part numbers stamped on them. See the little bit of oil in that guy there. These anvils were not machined. They were just forged to size. And the ball detents on them aren't super great. The 3/8 here isn't too bad. The 1/4 inch one I noticed it was a little bit off. But it's better than some of those Chinese Craftsmans that they came out with after they quit making them in the US. Now the Taiwan made Craftsmans are definitely better. Take a look at this 1/2 inch. Here goes my rolling screwdriver making its way. So if you noticed here, the 1/2 inch and the 3/8, the handles are the same diameter, even though the bodies are smaller. So they're pretty close to the same size, Heads are obviously smaller, but the neck on them, I guess you would call it, going up to the ratchet head, and the body are pretty much the same, and they're fairly decent size. So if that kind of turns you off to a 3/8 being longer length to begin with, you know, you might want to just get these for a beater set or something. We'll take a look at the overall length here. All I have is my steel rule down here. Hopefully it's long enough for this guy. The 1/2 inch looks to be a little over 10.5, so probably 10 5/8. The 3/8 ratchet was about 9 3/4 inches long, and the 1/4 inch coming in at about 6 1/4, so pretty long for a 1/4 inch ratchet. All right, we'll get these guys out of the way here, and we'll take a look at the 1/2 inch one. Let me get my other snap ring pliers. All right, I got my other snap ring pliers. These are the Quins from Harbor Freight, and these are all right, but I think I kind of want to get the USA made channel lock. It's kind of the same version, but of these, but this is a pretty good set for a budget set of snap ring pliers. They come with different tips and angled tips and whatnot on there, so you can see that oil that's on there. So they oiled these up pretty good, and it's kind of like a brown. It sure smells like motor oil that's on there, which is obviously fine as long as it has something. We'll pull this back plate off of here. This looks to be a pretty thin back plate on this guy. Probably 30 thousandths on it. So 25 thousandths. These have been heat treated, so they're hard. They're not a flimsy back plate on it. I would prefer to see something thicker on these, but my gear wrenches are about the same thickness, you know, in the Huskies, so it must not hurt those. You can see all that oil they had in them. See how it's kind of like that brownish oil? Single floating pawl style design. Take this anvil out of here as I push the pawl out. So I see this 1/2 inch anvil was machined after they forged it, whereas this 3/8 version of it was not. Kind of see that rounded edge down there at the bottom versus them running that straight mill here in the corner. So this 1/2 inch version was machined after the fact. Ball detent on that guy looks pretty good. Machining looks pretty good on the 1/2 inch one so far. See a little bit of black oxide loss from me twisting it around, but it was definitely well lubricated. These say YC. There is some discoloration or something on there. They must have like a steam coating or something like that as a wear coating on it. Let me check these teeth off camera. Count them. So there's 18 teeth on the pawl, and these have a real wide oval spring and detent in them. No O-rings or anything like that in this set. They're just budget. Fit and finish on the inside looks pretty good. Yeah, they definitely well lubricated these with whatever they had. So get this guy back together. We'll just put it back together the same way we took it apart. We'll make sure we have these letters facing up. Try to get down on that wide pawl detent. See if we can't get this guy back in here. Here we go. And we'll just check for function real quick. So if I'm looking at these here, that pawl detent is sticking up higher than what the diameter of the hole is. So these wouldn't have a chance of spitting the switch out like some other ones where where you have it in what I call this neutral position here, that pawl will push that detent all the way down in there, and that's when you have a chance of that doing that. But it's kind of hard to see in there, but that detent is still sticking up about a 1/16 higher than what the diameter is of the switch. So I like that for sure. So since we wiped some of the lube off of it here onto our hands, we'll just throw some of this Lucas gun oil back in it. Now you don't have to use this. I kind of go back and forth just on whatever I have down here on the workbench. Some of this stuff I steal from my reloading room at the other end of the basement. But, you know, I'm just going to put some of this like light gun oil in here. This extreme duty gun oil is a good one to use for these fine tooth ratchets. And this is fine too. Motor oil is fine. Motor oil is fine in these. It's fine even in coarse tooth ratchets. But it'll end up eventually seeping out, you know, if these aren't a sealed head ratchet. I try to, even with like the Super Lube synthetic grease, I tend to just try to use that in coarse head ratchets, coarse tooth ratchets, you know. But you can do whatever you want. This is just what I use, what I've always used. So we'll just put a couple drops in here. Get one down on that detent down in there. We'll put our back plate back on there. And I don't think these have a front side or back side. I was just trying to see a rotational witness mark. So that would be the back side there of that anvil spinning around up against it. Get that back in. Get our snap ring back in there. Pretty tight fitting snap ring as well, not a lot of slop in it. Check for function. And again, you know, some guys like to, you know, complain that, you know, some of these ratchets are too loud. Well, you know, when you got a thin back plate like that, it's going to be loud. You know, my $100 and something set of gear inch ratchets are loud. You know, the 44 tooth set of Huskies are loud. You know, it's just how they are. If you've got, you know, even these old vintage Craftsmans here. Here's a NOS Craftsman 1/4 inch that I have, USA made, and they've got these thin back plates on them. And if you didn't have gear oil in there, you know, they'd be loud as heck. But try to wear that 1/2 inch one in at work, but this 3/8 one, just from using it the other day, it sounds pretty good. Not a lot of back drag on it. Same goes for this guy, the 1/4 inch here. Sounds pretty good. Check this 1/4 inch for the back drag. Pretty light back drag on the 1/4 inch. Climbing a little bit there. Going the opposite direction. Now this 3/8, just because its size and weight of it, I'm sure it's not going to be real good to kind of show it off here as far as back drag goes, but just the weight of it's going to hold it steady. But we can kind of do, you know, slip the fingers on the socket, very light grab with my fingers there on the socket, so not too bad. For a budget set of ratchets, you know, these seem to be pretty good. I'm not too fond of the massive handle on the 3/8 version, but you know, it may just been them trying to use one forging whenever they made that. But you know, for 10, 9, and 8, I think is what these were. You know, and then whatever shipping is, and you know, I probably could have saved a little bit buying them all at the same time, but they get kind of dinged up whenever you do that when you buy them from Amazon. If you can't get these as an actual 3-piece set, they're just selling them individually, and as of right now they're still up there for sale, so you could get this set for under $30 or whatever shipped on Amazon, especially if you're a Prime member. But all right, I figured I'd put these out there. They kind of caught my eye. I really haven't seen them before up until about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, right before we went on our trip. And I thought, well, you know, they're inexpensive enough. I'll go ahead and grab them. I'm not super fond of comfort grip ratchets, but I mean, I guess I haven't been in the past, but as I've gotten older, I've come to like them a little bit. But if you can kind of get past that big wide grip on them, I think this will be a pretty good set. They basically have the same internal mechanism I think of as like the new Toolent standard length set of ratchets, and the Cobalt by Lowe's. I think their internals are exactly the same, so I don't think you could go wrong. All right, I figured I'd put them up there and let you guys take a look at them. All right, take care.